Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Wednesday webinar series. Our topic today is what is Into Suffolk's online orientation? I know this is a big question for our new students because it is required for you to complete our online orientation. So in today's PowerPoint and webinar, we'll be showing you what the online orientation course looks like. We'll provide some great tips for new students, and we'll tell you more about what to expect during our orientation, which will happen later this August. As always, please ask questions during today's presentation. You can unmute yourself and ask them during the webinar itself, or you can type them in the chat, and our team will be monitoring the chat to answer those questions. Let's get started. So first, we should probably introduce who our speakers are. So I will introduce myself first, and then I'll introduce you to the rest of our amazing Into Suffolk staff. But hello, everyone. My name is Sophie Wilson. I serve as the Director of Student Experience here at Into Suffolk. What that means is that my team and I are here to actually help you through the arrivals and orientation process, and we actually manage all the planning for orientation. Darian, would you like to introduce yourself next?
Hi, I'm Darian. I am the Into Suffolk Student Experiences Assistant. And so I am in charge of all of your events throughout the semester, both educational and fun. So we will keep you in tune to those. Nice to meet everyone.
Thanks, Darian. Next up, Susie, could you introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. My name is Susie. I am the office coordinator for Into Suffolk, and I assist Sophie and Darian with orientation and events. And I also manage the welcome desk, which is in person in our center. So if you ever have any questions, feel free to come to the desk in person and ask me, and I will help you. I'm excited to meet all of you during our in-person orientation later this month.
Thanks, Darian. Thanks, Susie. For folks that are on the call, please do contact us. We work in student experience because we love students. So we are available over Zoom, over email, and of course, when you come to campus this fall, please say hi. We're very friendly. And as Darian mentioned, we have a lot of free social events that you can participate in after classes begin. But before I get too distracted about amazing fall events, I'm going to go back to what we're going to be discussing today, which is webinar reminders. So we'll show the schedule of our final webinars that we'll be hosting this summer. Of course, we're going to spend a lot of time showing you our online orientation website and explain what you need to complete before classes begin. We'll also tell you a little bit about what to expect during our live orientation that Susie mentioned earlier. We have a few important reminders regarding housing for both on and off-campus students, and of course, our general orientation reminders, so things you need to complete before classes begin this fall. So our first slide is reminders about our upcoming Wednesday webinar series. It's so good to see so many familiar faces and some new faces as well. But just as a reminder, every Wednesday this month, we will be hosting a webinar for our new and current students. Today's webinar is what is Into Suffolk's online orientation. So thank you for joining us today. Next week is an important webinar for students that are living on campus. So students living in our resident halls. It is very important that if you are living on campus that you attend this presentation, because we will talk more about your housing assignments, so where you'll be living, some really great move-in tips, so how you can pack and prepare to move into your new building, and more information about our free airport transfer program that we offer to our on-campus students. Our webinar on August 18th is preparing your move to Boston. So if you are living on campus or off campus, come join us for some great resources and information about moving to the USA. So everything about, once again, I struggle with this, what to actually pack versus what you can buy when you arrive. Information about getting from Boston Logan Airport to your apartment or house. Information about banking and cell phone resources. And of course, my team's favorite Boston recommendations are things you should do when you arrive. Our final webinar is going to be on August 25th. And this is a time where you've met now Darian, Susie, and myself, and we'll actually have a student join us as well. And you can come in and ask any questions you have about orientation, the arrival process, or even some of your fall classes. So this is a great time where if you're still confused or if you want some clarification, come join us for our Into Suffolk drop-in question and answer. As a reminder, all of our webinars are free and they are open to both new students, current students, counselors, regional office staff, and parents. I know you all are here today, though, to learn more about what is online orientation. Don't worry, we'll go through it step by step, but I want to make sure that first you have access to our online orientation course. In order to access the course, you'll actually have to have confirmed your program, meaning you're saying, yes, I am studying at Into Suffolk this fall. Once you are a confirmed student, you will have received 2 emails from Suffolk University's Tech Support Department. The first email will be titled Suffolk University Account. Very hopefully easy to find in your inbox. And the second one is called Welcome to your Suffolk University username. These emails are extremely important because they include what we call your Suffolk University credentials. So this is your username and password. You will use the same username and password to access your email account, class registration, our Suffolk website, which includes our online orientation, and really all Suffolk University online platforms. So it's very, very important that you do not delete these emails and that you save them. These 2 emails will have been sent to the email that you have put down in your initial Into Suffolk application. So it will normally go to your personal email account. If for some reason you are going through your email and you're saying, I cannot find these 2 emails from Suffolk University, please contact us and my team is happy to assist you. And we'll include our contact information at the end of today's presentation. Susie, Darian, feel free to join in if there's anything I'm missing regarding the 2 emails. Wonderful. Okay, so step 1, you have your Suffolk University username and password. Step 2 for our online orientation is actually logging into the orientation website. So as a reminder, online orientation is required for all new students. This means that every single Into Suffolk student will have completed online orientation. The reason it is required is it includes some really helpful resources for you to be successful before you begin your classes. And so it's important that you know this information before your classes begin. As a reminder, in order to access this website, you must use those Suffolk credentials that were emailed to you. And the deadline to complete the online orientation is August 30th, which is a Monday. So I'm going to show you how our online orientation course looks. And before I do so, I do want to say one last thing, which is all Into Suffolk students will have received this website link as part of their weekly pre-arrival orientation emails. So if you are receiving those, and we hope that you are, please make sure you're reading them because there are important reminders and web links like our online orientation that are included in those emails. So when you click that website, you'll log in with your Suffolk credentials. And this is what you'll see, which is our homepage. But what I really want you to be looking at, oh, look at this. It says orientation and arrivals. It's the starting spot for how our online orientation process works. And let me actually show you what the website looks like. So give me 1 minute and I will pull it up. Susie, Darian, is there any other important reminders you want to share? Maybe Susie, about what our pre-arrival emails are.
Sure. So our pre-arrival emails are emails that we send weekly to all of our new students with very important information and reminders that they should be aware of, including any testing, submitting airport transfers, the orientation website access, and in the future we'll be sending out information about orientation, the schedule. So please make sure you are reading them. They are sent out to you every week on Thursdays. So you will be getting one tomorrow and every Thursday leading up to orientation. So again, please make sure you are reading them. I know sometimes it can be a lot of information, but it's all really important information that it's really good for you guys to know. So please make sure that you are reading them so you can ensure you are prepared for when you come to Boston and when you partake in our live in-person orientation.
That was a great summary of our pre-arrival emails. Thank you,
Thank you.
Susie. Yeah. And the reason I asked Susie to talk about it is that she's the one that actually sends them. So she puts a lot of work to make sure that you all have all the information that you need to be prepared to start your Suffolk journey. So they're great, they're fun, some great information about how you can get prepared for classes in the fall as well. So I'm going to share my screen and show you, if you can all see it, what our Into Suffolk website looks like. So once again, in order to access this website, you will be asked to type in your Suffolk University username and password. Once you've done so, oh, amazing, this is what appears. So this website is for Into Suffolk students, both new students and current students. This means that even after orientation is over, we encourage you to please explore this website for important announcements and, of course, our upcoming student events. Before we talk about events, I do want to explain all the information that you can find on our Into Suffolk student website, including our orientation information. So when you first arrive, we have our welcome. We also include our email address, so please contact us at into@suffolk.edu if you have any questions at all. If you are local, meaning if you are in Boston, you are welcome to visit us in person in our office, which is the Into Suffolk Center, located at 73 Tremont Street in Boston. Our homepage also has important announcements. If you click See All, you're actually able to see all of the announcements in one page. Announcements are important updates that we want to make sure that all of our students are aware of. For example, orientation and arrivals, finance, so making sure you know how to pay your bills, systems and technology, to make sure that you're comfortable using your Suffolk email and Zoom accounts, immunizations, academics, and more. So please check this website regularly for important updates and announcements. For our home section, you can see we have a welcome from our executive director, a directory. So if you're looking to find someone specific, for example, you have questions about your academic schedule for this fall, you can click the staff directory, look at academics, and you can contact the correct person here. So this is a great way if you want to make sure that you're contacting the right person in our office to find them in our directory. But once again, you can always contact anyone by emailing into@suffolk.edu. We have a campus map as well. Do not worry, we will be including a campus tour as part of our live and online orientation. But if you're going to be arriving into Boston earlier, you are welcome to explore campus before our official orientation tour. So You can access our campus map through our website. We have volunteering information for students that want to volunteer with Into Suffolk and our general contact us information. For student experience, our online orientation begins here. So it's this whole section. We'll begin with orientation and arrivals. There's some really important deadlines, as you can see here, and information about what students are expected to do while they complete our online orientation. A question just came in the chat. It was a really good one. Currently at this time, only confirmed students are able to access our Into Suffolk student website. And this is because they need that Suffolk University login. However, we are working to find a way for maybe parents or staff members to also access this website. So stay tuned for those details. So please, for students, go through orientation and arrivals. Each of these web pages has very important information about what you need to complete before classes begin. For example, for immunizations, the state of Massachusetts has a law where all students are required to submit what's called immunization records before classes begin. As you can see, our website includes step-by-step instructions, as well, I won't start it, but a YouTube video where you can watch our staff provide more details about how to upload your immunization and vaccination records. And I will actually make sure to show you how to access our YouTube channel, which anyone can access at any time, which has more informational videos. So once again, for students, please make sure you go to our website, you go to the student experience section, and you go through and read and watch all of the videos and information in each of these pages. We have information about housing, both for on and off-campus students, some great information about life in Boston, some really fun information about activities and how to get involved. So if you're interested in joining one of our 100+ clubs, some of our programs where you can get partnered with an American student, or if you're interested in volunteering, go look on our website. We'll provide more information here. But it's very important that you, once again, go to our website, click each button, read through all the information, watch our videos, and this is what our online orientation course is. And let me see, I have some questions in the chat. Wonderful, wonderful. We'll make sure to answer those during our question and answer section at the end of today's presentation. I do also want to share on our Into Suffolk website, we have some really helpful information regarding academics. I know a lot of students have questions about what their class schedule is, or how to order textbooks. Or if you're an undergraduate international year 1 student, you are required to complete the math placement exam. And so the academic section has, once again, step-by-step instructions on how to complete all of these required tasks with our videos. So please make sure to explore the academic section once you've completed the student experience tab. If you have not paid all of your student fees, you're able to do so through our finance tab, and you can actually pay directly on our website. So please make sure you have submitted all of your outstanding student payments before classes begin. Lastly, if you have questions about transcripts, immigration, required documents or official transcript documents, you can contact our immigration team, and they've also included some additional information as well as general US immigration resources on our website. I know a lot of you have emailed us with questions regarding the COVID-19 vaccine, mask requirements, and really just COVID-19 resources. Suffolk University prioritizes student safety, and so they have a ton, meaning a lot of information regarding how this university is making sure that our campus is healthy, it's safe for students this fall. So you're welcome to go to our COVID-19 resources page and look at our campus updates, and also information about how if you have not already been vaccinated. Last but definitely not least is our student guides. This is a great tab for you to, and I would say definitely bookmark it, but for you to really review if you want to read our welcome guide. And this is something that was shared with you in our pre-arrival emails. Our welcome guide is an amazing resource because, let's see if I can zoom in even more, it includes everything from preparing for your arrival into the US, so what to pack, what documents to bring, what medical information to provide, how to book your travel, our airport transfer service, orientation, resources, and more. And so we encourage you to read our welcome guide before you leave for Boston. We also not only have our welcome guide, we have our summer schedule of important dates, so you know when all the holidays are and when to book travel in case you want to go home. We have our student handbook, terms and conditions, and more. So once again, our online orientation course is students completing, meaning reading through our Into Suffolk website, specifically student experience and starting with orientation and arrivals. I also wanted to give a few minutes to talk about what Into Suffolk student events are, because you can see them here. And Darian, I'm wondering if you can talk briefly about what student events look like and maybe give us some hints about what we might be able to expect this fall.
Yeah, definitely. So our events have been, like I said before, a nice mix of educational, providing you with a lot of resources and collaborations with Suffolk departments. And then a lot of them have been fun as well, mixed into that. And so for the fall, we will be hosting at least an event once a week, if not a couple of more. Some of them look like scavenger hunts, escape rooms, hiking, community fairs. And so there's a lot to look forward to. And like I said, there'll be at least one a week, if not 2 or 3 a week. So hopefully everyone is able to make it.
Cool, thank you, Darian. And once again, all the information about how you can stay up to date about what our events are, how to register for them, what time they are, will be on our Into Suffolk student website. You'll also, once you start classes, be getting a weekly newsletter that Susie actually creates and sends to students. Susie, do you mind talking briefly about the newsletter?
Sure. So the newsletter that we send out, like Sophie said, it is weekly once the semester starts. So this newsletter will be sent to you on Fridays, and this will have information about any events coming up the next week that you should be aware of. And it'll also have information on how to pre-register for an event if an event does require pre-registration. It also has any other maybe fun events that are going on in Boston, any places kind of around New England that you might want to travel to, as well as any other additional resources that we want to make you aware of. So it is really important if you want to get involved and attend events and meet new people and make new friends that you read that newsletter every week so you can stay on top of all the goings on at Into Suffolk.
Oh, thanks, Susie. As you can tell, there is a lot of opportunity to get involved and then get connected to the Suffolk community. So please make sure to take advantage of all of those opportunities. And of course, we will be talking more about them during our live orientation. So let me go back to our presentation today, share my screen, and go back into what orientation expectations are for our new students. So as a reminder, orientation is required, meaning every student must attend orientation. Our online orientation course, that website that I showed you a minute ago, please make sure that you complete it, meaning you review all the pages, you watch all the videos by August 30th. And our live orientation begins Tuesday, August 31st at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Let me give you a bit more information about what to expect during our live orientation. So our live orientation, live meaning it is in person in Boston. We do have a few students who are going to be taking online classes this fall. Do not worry, we will have an online component for those online only students. But for all other students, the requirement is that you are in person in Boston, seeing us and participating in all of our online and live orientation activities. Orientation will begin that Tuesday, August 31st and end that Friday, so it's 4 days long. However, there are optional social activities which are going to be so much fun. Everything from a Boston boat cruise to bowling in downtown. These social events and activities are free for students. So please, if you are not planning something during those days, we encourage you to attend those social activities. But once again, live orientation for our Into Suffolk students begins on Tuesday and ends on Friday. And that is once again required, meaning you must attend those orientation events. More information about what to expect during our live orientation beginning August 31st. Be, of course, our campus tour, meeting your teachers, learning about academic resources, including free tutoring on campus. One of my favorite things is you get to meet all the other students at Suffolk University. So it's a great way to build a lot of new friendships. Into Suffolk trivia, career readiness, and more. Susie, can I actually have you present on this slide briefly? I need to grab a charger for my laptop, so I'll be right back.
Sure, no problem.
Thank you.
So I'm just going to talk briefly about our on-campus housing and information for students that are living in the residence halls. So all students living on campus in a residence hall will move in on Monday, August 30th. So that is the move-in day for on-campus housing. If you are a student who is part of the early welcome program, which you should have signed up for if you are a student in that program, your move-in date will be on August 16th. And more information about the move-in and arrival process will be emailed to you later this month. So please keep monitoring your inbox for all of our important emails, including information about on-campus move-in. And then just another quick reminder to attend the webinar next week on August 11th about living on campus to learn more. And if you can't attend that webinar live as it's happening, it will be recorded and put on our YouTube page for you to watch at a later date.
Thank you, Susie. I really appreciate that.
No problem.
And for students that are curious, the picture on this slide is actually one of our resident halls. It's 1 Court Street. So our resident halls are amazing. They're in the heart of downtown Boston's location. You cannot beat it. But please do join us on August 11th to learn more about what the expectations are for living on campus and how to prepare for your move. For students that are living on campus, we do want to remind you that you are eligible for a free airport pickup from Boston Logan Airport. In order for you to actually have this airport pickup, you must complete our airport arrivals survey. We'll show you the link later on in our presentation. New on-campus students will also receive what we call a welcome bag, which includes snacks, water, toothbrush, toothpaste, and other goodies. So depending on what time you arrive, you will be able to eat some food and brush your teeth. And of course, because we do not want you to be flying with bedding, you will actually have a bed pack waiting for you in your room. The bed pack includes sheets for your bed, a pillowcase, pillow, laundry hamper, towels, and comforter. So you'll be able to actually go to sleep on your first night without having to go shopping for any of these materials. If you are living off campus, meaning you are not living in the resident halls, you can arrive anytime you'd like as per your arrival date on your I-20. If you are someone that is living off campus and you realize, I don't know where I'm going to live yet. I don't have an apartment. I don't have a house. I don't know how to find roommates. Don't worry about that because Suffolk University has an off-campus housing portal, which includes everything from finding apartments to finding roommates, all in downtown Boston. You can watch our off-campus housing webinar on our YouTube channel for a more in-depth description on how to log in and use this portal. If you are also seeking more one-on-one housing support, you can contact our team, so Darian, Susie, and myself, and we're happy to meet with you over Zoom to help you answer your housing questions, such as which neighborhood should I live in? Is this an actual apartment or is it a scam? Our team is here to support you with identifying off-campus housing. Last but not least, we have our general orientation important reminders. The first is we want you to feel connected with our university as soon as possible, which means we encourage you to connect with current students through our TAP Ambassador program. This is an online program. It includes students from both undergraduate, master's programs, business, liberal arts, so you can talk with them before you begin classes. And the conversations can be anything from where's the best place to get a lobster roll to I'm looking at neighborhoods to live. Where would you recommend as a student for a great first apartment? So you can contact Into Suffolk students through our TAP Ambassador portal. Another reminder is our immunization records. So as I mentioned earlier when we were looking at the Into Suffolk student website, the state of Massachusetts requires that all university students upload their immunization records to their university's health portals before they begin classes. All records must be in English. We recognize that depending where you live, the records may be in your native language, which may not be English. So you can submit a translated version of those records. That is acceptable. Please make sure that you upload those records as soon as possible. We do have step-by-step instructions on how to upload your immunization records on our YouTube channel. Speaking of health and immunizations, all Suffolk students are required to be vaccinated for COVID-19 by August 16th. We recognize that not all countries have vaccines readily available for students. So you can get vaccinated in the US after August 16th. Once again, if you are not able to get vaccinated in your home country, you can get vaccinated in Boston after August 16th. That is allowed. After you get vaccinated, please make sure that your vaccination card is uploaded to the student health portal. Similar to your immunization records, your vaccination card must be in English and translations are acceptable. Let's see here, Susie, would you like to talk about airport arrivals? Because I know this is definitely something you work with regularly.
Yeah, sure. So airport arrivals, all students are required to submit their arrival details regardless of your location. When you fill out the form, just be sure to put in the primary airport as Boston Logan, and the airport code is BOS. We do offer a free airport pickup service from Logan Airport for our on-campus students only, and you will be met depending on which terminal you come in. Most of you will likely be coming into the international terminal. There will be someone there to meet you and take you to your airport transferred vehicle, so you don't have to worry about finding your car where the airport parking is. And Into Suffolk can't guarantee a transfer request made less than 72 hours in advance, but we will make every attempt to accommodate late arrivals. I know, especially with COVID and students have issues getting visa appointments, there may be some later arrival requests. So we will work really hard to make sure you can get a transfer. If that does happen, you do have to arrive late. And there is the airport arrival survey form linked here, and it's also in all of our pre-arrival communication as well. So it's really important that you do submit that information. And just once again, it is for on-campus students only. So only if you're living in a residence hall on campus can you put in the information for an airport transfer request.
Fantastic. Thank you, Susie.
You're welcome.
I do want to thank some of the students I know who've already submitted their airport arrival details. Thank you. We appreciate it. Just as Susie said, as soon as you have booked your flights into Boston, please, it takes no more than 5 minutes. Please complete our airport arrival form just so we can be prepared and welcome you. Okay, we're almost to the end of our presentation. Before we get to questions and answers, Darian, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I'll let you share yours, but I know we've been talking a lot about our YouTube channel, so I'm going to let you talk briefly about what that looks like and how to get there.
Awesome. All right. So if you are on YouTube, it's our YouTube channel name is into_Suffolk_students, which I can put that in the chat and also provide you guys with a link as well. So here you will see all of our videos. So they will be organized into playlists. You have your Wednesday webinar series, but then we also have them under health and wellness, academics, career services. So career services will provide different presentations from that Suffolk department. And the most important ones that you're going to want to pay attention to are the orientation ones that we put up. Oops, sorry, I don't know why that's not right. We also will have our event recordings as well. So on our YouTube channel, you will see every event, every presentation that we have had recorded for you and ready for you guys to watch.
Well, thank you, Darian. I also want to add, with all of these recordings, they all do have closed caption as well. So it is something that you can both listen to and read. And a lot of the information is really helpful for students' academic success as well as getting involved. So we have reached the end of our presentation. Let me just show you our many ways you can contact us. And let me go back to sharing my screen. We do have plenty of time for questions and answers. So if you do have any questions about any of the information that we presented on today, please ask them to us. The whole team is here for you. If you're someone who, like me, needs to sleep on it and then realize, oh, yes, I do have questions. As a reminder, you can email us at into@suffolk.edu. Darian, Susie, and myself all check this email, and you'll be getting a response very quickly.
Oh, can you still hear me? Great.
Yep, I can hear you.
Wonderful. And then, of course, we encourage you to follow us on Instagram, where we'll post up-to-date, and I should say daily reminders about great things happening, both in our fall activities, summer activities, amazing Suffolk happenings, and of course, through LinkedIn. Thank you for joining us today. I'm going to stop the recording, and then we'll have some time for questions and answers. Mhm.